Good morning. Wow, that was loud. Maybe I was loud. Okay. Well, what a great day we have here today. The weather's cooperating for us, and we're really excited to welcome you to the groundbreaking of the Urban League's new development project. It's called Fairmount Heights, the Heights on Fairmount. So, when we started this work about 5 years ago now, last year marked the Urban League centennial. And we haven't been doing development projects and all that time. Most of the time we've been really focused on social services and comprehensive social services and supports for families. But more recently we've been thinking about, that where people live, their quality of life, the community that they live in, and even research shows that the disorder and abandonment in the community even affects the way children's brains develop. And we really thought, the league should be doing more around improving our communities. And so we started with the Fairmount neighborhood, which is this area here. And Mr. Johnson's here, other members of the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association. We said we need a neighborhood association, so we started one. But it was Fairmount was the neighborhood, and they said, no, this is Fairmount Heights. So when people think where'd the Heights come from, no, it wasn't a developer from the outside that came up with the Heights. It's the people that live right here that felt that they had high aspirations for their community, and they wanted the name to reflect that. So we're happy to invite you to the groundbreaking today. This work cannot be done alone. So many of you are our partners and our friends in this work, and we thank you for being with us today, as well as being with us tomorrow and in the future. And when we started the housing development, I'm not going to call anybody's name that's in this room, but somebody said, why do Urban League want to build housing? These community development organizations are going down on housing. I said, no, but that's not the Urban League way, right? So I tell my team, this is the Urban League, not the Little League, right? So we are going to build these homes. We are going to rebuild this community. We're going to have homeowners in this community from this community. So the work we're doing is affordable housing. So we fight, and we fight with some of our partners, but we get subsidy. So a lot of our great partners are here because they're putting their resources into the project. So those of you who do this real estate work know the cost of construction is much higher than the price at which you can sell a home. And if you don't get subsidy, you don't have great partners like the mayor, the councilman, the economic development, the state, HUD. If you don't have these great partners, you don't change these communities. And so this is the neighborhood that has suffered from disinvestment. So this is where your money should go. And I want to let you know, an investment here, you will see a return. You're going to see a return in an improved community, improved outcomes for children and families. And the league has been here 100 years, and we're not going anywhere. So you got a great partner. I want to thank you for being here. I want to recognize the team at the Urban League. So we have a huge real estate department. Did you know that? It's like the real estate department of one. And, it's a little engine that could. And believe me, there's somebody that's like beating everybody like, okay, we're going to get this train up this hill. And so I'd like to recognize Lenny Robbins for his work. And I'd like to certainly recognize the Board of Trustees of the Urban League, because when I first started talking about doing some real estate, they weren't all in favor of it either. And since then, we've set up a separate economic development corporation. We have a separate CHODO, and we built some homes, and we're going to build these and sell these. And so we have a few projects underway. This is one of them. But my focus is on home ownership, because my story is that my father had a third-grade education. He learned a trade. He worked like a dog, and his daughter got an Ivy League education. So that's a story I think every child in this community should be able to have. But the other part of that story is my father, my parents, they were strivers, didn't have much education, but they worked hard. My mother was a member of Eastern Star, my father was a Mason, And that's where they got the money for their down payment, for their first house. Nobody does it alone. Now, my parents aren't here with me, but they left a legacy for us. And one of it is that they own the home they lived in. I grew up in D.C. So when people in Newark start talking, oh, they worry about gentrification, I said, oh, baby, don't worry about that. If you own it, you won't nobody gentrify you. So my goal is to have people own it, to show them that it's possible. So when you come into the Urban League, we have a Financial Opportunity Center. I want to recognize the team of the Financial Opportunity Center. Because when you come in, you may come in thinking you can't own, but when you come in, we talk to you about home ownership, about the possibilities, how you can build wealth and transfer wealth for your family and for your community. And that's what the home ownership does. Most people, most families have their wealth in their homes. But in black communities and in communities across the country like this, I even recognize the homeowners that have stuck it out in Newark. They didn't get all the appreciation that other communities have had. So how do we give them that? Because they deserve it too. You do it by rebuilding the houses around you. Your home can't appreciate if the house next to you has foreclosed and is abandoned and is being squatted on. Your neighborhood can't improve. You can't pass wealth on. And also, this city will not have the revenues it needs to sustain the police, the firemen. It is a holistic, integrated system, and I want Newark residents to know you are part of that system. You are Newark. We want you to own a piece of it. And so these houses are here for the residents, and that's who we're selling to. And we're going to build wealth, build the community, and share the love, right? So thank you for being here today. I do want to recognize just briefly our funders. Because as I said, we can't do it without you. Now, Mr. Robbins, he must think I'm 30 because this print is really small. So if I miss you, it's because I can't see. But certainly NRTC and Department of Community Affairs, this is one of their projects. We qualified for that, and funds are coming in for that. So I want to recognize HUD, who's also here as well, our local HUD representative, because we have home dollars in these projects as well. I want to recognize TD Bank, because when we said we wanted to start doing real estate, we couldn't get financing. But they advanced us a real estate development loan, which helped cover some of the soft costs. So I want to recognize them for stepping out in front, as well as Lisk and Rhonda Lewis, because they gave us our financing for our first houses that we did, so that we could then go to TD Bank and get the financing for the second round of housing. And so all of it is working together, and so I'd like to recognize them. NRTC, we had a lot of contributors. I don't know if you know what that program is. It's the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program, and companies can, instead of paying taxes to the state, they can invest in projects that are in qualified pool, which we've been fortunate to get in sometimes. So, but this project is in there. That's just a side joke. But Horizon, TD Bank, New Jersey Manufacturers, Selective Insurance, Public Service, Electric and Gas, New Jersey Reinsurance, Hallmark Capital Management, Valley Bank, Valley National Bank, Valley Investments. They were all part of the investors in our pools. And so I really want to, if you'll join me in giving them a round of applause for investing in this community. And so it gives me great pleasure to end my chatter. I also want to recognize my other funders that don't necessarily fund real estate, but without the Urban League, there'd be no real estate development projects. So I'd like to recognize funders that are in the room. Victoria Foundation, one of our funders, Prudential Foundation, main funder, and I see my friends from MCJ in the room, always asking me to do something, but anyway, they're a funder too. So it gives me great pleasure to ask Reverend Counsel to come to the podium to give us an invocation. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Oh, wait a minute. Will you still bless what I said? Yeah. Even though I did it in the wrong order? Yeah. Thank you. All right, thank you. Yeah.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we come to say thank you, and we come to lift you up on this day because you alone are worthy to be praised. We are so grateful that you have brought these minds together to continue the growth and development of this city that you have your hands on. We ask that you collectively bless everyone in this room, that they may continue to empower and do the work that you have called them to do. We ask that you heighten the heights, that who purchase these homes and those who live in them will be blessed by the work that is done by them. We ask that you continue to watch and hold us in the hollows of your hand. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name. We pray, amen.
So gives me great pleasure to welcome the mayor of our great city, the Honorable Raz J. Baraka, to give remarks.
I'm glad I spoke after the prayer, not before. Just so I'm gonna be all right on my way home. Just want to thank Vivian, though. She is a tireless, advocate and worker in this community. The whole Fairmount Heights project and everything that's been going on. Even when we began talking about model neighborhoods, about how to get Fairmount and this community involved in what we were doing in the city, how to focus all of our energy in this community where she had begun before we even walked into the door. We had this idea about doing all these things, but this community and the work that the Urban League has been doing prior to us, we thought it was worthy for us to attach ourselves and be a partner in, that we didn't have to start from scratch, that we should support what was happening already, and they're doing a fine job over here, as you can see. I want to thank all of the partners who helped make this day a reality. Obviously, the councilman of this West Ward, Joe McCallum, Senator Ruiz is here, the county, everybody that's been involved in making this happen, the state, HUD, everybody that, is at the table. And what Vivian said is, I ditto it, 1,000%. She's absolutely correct. As the city moves forward, home ownership is something that we need to be discussing. People need to own their neighborhoods, own this community, own the housing in this area, and whatever we could do to make that happen, we're all for it. As a matter of fact, she's 1,000% correct. The only way to really stop any kind of gentrification is to own the property in the community, in the neighborhood. That is absolutely right, and we're supportive of that and all the other projects that they're going to be working with us with. The economic development, our director, Carmelo Garcia, is here. I know that our office, along with NCDC, works to make sure that these projects are happening, that they're successful. I'm just looking for the ribbon cutting day. So when the houses are up and people are in them, that we could drive by and see a new neighborhood to represent a new Newark. I mean, folks talk about all the development that's happening downtown, because they're not paying close attention to the work that's happening all over the city because of organizations like the Urban League, who are making sure that when we invest in this city, that we do not leave out crucial neighborhoods in this community. And this neighborhood is a very intricate part of what's happening. As you see, these corridors are going to be developed, but this community is going to be an extension of those corridors thanks to the work that the Urban League is doing here. So thank you. Godspeed to you, Vivian, and the Urban League. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next person that's going to come to the podium is someone who's now we affectionately say BFFs. But we didn't start out like that. But it shows you that strong advocacy also produces strong alliances when you have shared values, and the shared value of making this community better and understanding that none of us can do it alone. It gives me great pleasure to bring up the councilman of the mighty, mighty West Ward, Councilman McCallum.
Yeah, she is my BFF. I want to congratulate the Urban League. This project actually gives me chills. We've been meeting and meeting and meeting for years, right? The switching station, all these projects, and we're constantly looking at all these abandoned properties and empty lots. And to actually see this project actually happening is a blessing to the community. The Fairmount Heights is a gateway into the West Ward. That's how I view it. And one of the things that I want is beautification. So what people see as they ride up the corridors, you know, that determines a lot of how we feel and how we think based on what we see. So I want beautification, safety. This goes right along. We have a business improvement district. The West Ward never had one. We voted on that last year. So we have a budget, $500,000. So these types of projects, filling in the streets, along with the business improvement district, the West Ward is on its way. I go around and people say, well, what does he do? And it's frustrating to me. They'll ask, what does the mayor do? And I'm like, if you go off of your block and ride anywhere in the ward or in the city, you can see what we do. But, you know, there's a lot of naysayers, but as the mayor said this morning, we were with the ministers, we're going to keep moving forward. Forward ever, backwards never. But Vivian, I commend you. She's a tenacious partner. You know, we fought many battles against each other, and now with each other. And she's an honest, passionate person who works with integrity, and I trust her to the bitter end, and I hope she trusts me. I try to do what I say I'm gonna do. I wake up every morning and just pray to let me do what I'm supposed to do, the right things for the right reasons. I don't pray for money, I don't pray for anything else. Let me do the right things for the right reasons. And that's how I operate. And I want to thank Carmelo, Economic Development, all of the partners mentioned. I got to give a shout out to my main man back there, Mr. Johnson, president of the Fairmount Heights Association. Give him a hand. Mr. Dorian Johnson, my main man. So I give him toys to give out around here and turkeys, and we work together. It's great partnerships all around here, right? And we're going to keep it going. We have many more projects we're meeting about. The switching station project, and I have some other buildings going up. And with the help of Carmelo and the mayor, listen, nothing happens here without the mayor. Nothing happens without the mayor. The council, our vote, I think I sponsored these properties coming to the Urban League. I think it was 16 properties. Yes. Because I knew I'm interested in the sustainability of our anchor institutions. So I always talk to Vivian about sustainability. I want sustainability for the Urban League because I understand how important it is to our community moving forward. So with that said, thanks everybody for coming out. Lisk is here. I saw MCJ, Craig Drinker, the Victoria Foundation. I see Rick Thigpen from Public Service. I shouldn't have started talking names because I may leave somebody out. Papa Pat's back there, owns the pizzeria right here. He's on the Business Improvement District Board. Papa Pat, raise your hand. Papa Pat, best pizza in town. Okay, so with that, thanks everybody for coming. Oh, my main man, Calvin Leffert from Public Service. My main man, right there. Yeah, I love these guys. Listen, when I make a phone call, we all answer each other's phones on the first or second ring. And that's how we get these things done. And Mayor, thanks for all of your support. None of this happens. Listen, when I go into the mayor's office, he's never denied me anything. I need to do this for Vivian. I need to do that for this person or this organization. He's never denied me anything. So when we say Team Baraka, it is a team. And not because it's a political team, but because we're a partnership for the city, for the betterment of the city. So with that, thank you. And my man, Kwawi, right there.
All right, great. Okay, so when it's refreshing when you have representatives that really care about your community, and they don't necessarily interject what they want. They really try to listen to those who are on the ground and the work that they're doing. And so I'd like to take this moment to bring up Senator Teresa Ruiz. And when we were fighting the switching station, she said, well, you decide. I want to do what the community wants to do. But she also has had that position even around issues of education, because we've talked about a number of things as chair of the Education Committee, you know, always receptive to talking about how do we really improve education for children in our communities. So it's not just about the houses or the homes, it's about the whole community. So, and you know, as women, We like to see more women in positions of power. And so we'd like to recognize Senator Reese that came out today. Thank you.
Thank you to Vivian. Thank you to our mayor who's really moving the city forward, to our councilman who has his pulse in the West Ward. But I really want to take a moment and give a round of applause to Vivian, because anyone who knows her, anyone who's worked with her, anyone who recognizes her passion, she doesn't stop until she gets to the finish line. And she doesn't get to the finish line alone. She gets to the finish line with the people from the Fairmount neighborhood. I will tell you this, it's been said, I thought that one of the most exciting moments with Urban League was when I visited the coding program to see all the young children really at the forefront of what the next generation of jobs will be. But I have to tell you, when I saw the finishes inside of the homes here today, so sleek, so modern, this is our city. I was born and raised in the North Ward, same story. My parents were probably the first Puerto Ricans in the North Ward to purchase a home in the 70s in a neighborhood that wasn't very receptive to them. But the concept of the American dream, being able to own a home, is much greater than just that. It's a public safety issue. When we have houses on a block that are abandoned, they are just magnets for opportunities of negative activity that we don't need. We certainly don't want to see children walking to a school in the midst of areas that attract garbage or attract negative experiences. It's a social justice issue. It's an economic development issue, and it's a people issue. And every time one of our ward or one of our blocks or just one home or one school, one classroom, one child, one mother, one dad, when someone gets empowered in the city of Newark, regardless as to what avenue it is, whether it's getting employment, whether it's going through a training program, whether it's partnering with a nonprofit organization, whether it's getting some help from PSCNG, when one person succeeds in the city, our pulse gets stronger. We get stronger as a city. As someone who has made their investment here and is raising her daughter here in a second generation capacity of where my father selected this city to raise his family, we know the value of who we are here in the city. People are just beginning to recognize that now, but we know the greatness of who we are because we have always had that in our hearts, in our bellies, and in our passion. But I want to say that one of the greatest things that also has occurred here today is that not one entity can do it alone. People always want to face to 920 Broad Street and say, Mayor, you can fix this. You're the problem solver. And yes, he has vision and he has the ability. But if we don't culminate together, nonprofit sector, our school systems, our corporate entities, our funders, banks, agencies, the State Department, the county, that's where great success will come out of. When we think about the Westward, when we think about every level of government that's making an investment, we can't foresee. We have a new state-of-the-art vocational school that is built, that will be open to educate thousands of children in a curriculum that will meet extraordinary needs. We just had the ribbon cutting a couple weeks ago through the leadership of our county executive to open a new sheriff's building. So there's a different presence, there's a different energy, and all I'm saying is that I'm so proud to be just a small factor in the equation of what is great, what is Newark, who we are, and where we're going. So thank you and congratulations to everyone.
Okay. So we have a lot of great partners. I'm glad to hear from the elected officials, and not to say anything about the work that they do is very important. But anybody that's doing community development, you also know it's the people in the departments that help you move your projects. Doesn't matter if it's in water and sewer sometime, it's in the zone, it could be any permits, anything, but a lot of that, for that to happen, you have to have good leadership in housing and economic development for your work to go forward. And it really gives me, our project started under the prior director, and actually our work in community development really started with the previous administration. We kind of got involved, but I want to recognize Carmelo Garcia as the director of housing and economic development for the city, really embracing what the league was doing, and really work to move the barriers for this. So I'd like to have him come up and give a few words for him and his whole team. I know Julio is here, I know Malik is here, Annette Muhammad, everybody. They all have worked hard for us to get to just this point. So Mr. Director, please come up. Carmelo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. These are historic times. I'm always honored and humbled that I get to drive and implement the mayor's vision and goals. And one of the things that he's always made clear as he champions the West and South Ward with the model neighborhood initiatives in stating that we have to allocate and appropriate those funds from which we receive to those wards that have suffered from disinvestment. So this is clearly a great example of reinvestment, revitalization, and redevelopment happening in these wards to stimulate the ongoing economic development that's happening in the city of Newark. We are so proud to work with Vivian and her team, Lenny, because they do marvelous work, and we know she is a tireless advocate, a pioneer, and a finisher for getting these things to come to fruition. This is a great example of a public-private partnership with the state, DCA, of course, the county, and the city, and of course, HUD. Director Maria Mayo of HUD and Anne-Marie Eubank, thank you so much for always believing in Newark. As the mayor always says, he's made it a city that we can all believe in, and we continue to drive it. Our $500,000 investment in this project is about giving back to the areas that have suffered from disinvestment, and that's what we continue to do. It's not just the downtown. The mayor makes it very clear. It's about home ownership, equity growth, inclusive growth, economic impact, employment impact, environmental impact, and ultimately making sure that we bring these projects to fruition. So it is great to be a part of this. These are historic times. Thank you, and God bless.
My paper now. Okay, so I mentioned the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program. It's really a tremendous program, and when we were fighting to get in it, we had to get we had a strategic plan. It's really the basis for any inclusion in the tax credit program. You have to have a neighborhood plan that was a holistic plan that was developed with the residents in the community, and we had to demonstrate that, and certainly we couldn't have done it without the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association, but also like funders like Wells Fargo, who they're not here today, but they actually funded that initial strategic planning work along with the state. So we really appreciate their support. But it really could not happen without, as I said, the administrators in the departments. So at the state level, that's Bradley Harrington and his team, and they've been helping us along the way, educating us along the way. It was new for us, so, and challenging us along the way, but really a great partner, a great thought partner in the work. And so it gives me great pleasure to welcome up Brad Herring to come up and give remarks on behalf of DCA.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great day in Newark. I'm so honored to be here. I am not a native of Newark. I feel like I have to be a careful visitor, but it's not my first time in this neighborhood. Vivian can attest to that. So Mayor, Vivian, Councilman, Senator, and ladies and gentlemen, my program, Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credits, works in 28 other neighborhoods besides the Fairmount neighborhood of Newark in 14 other cities. And we've awarded tens of millions of dollars in its effectively 10 years of existence. We've been around since 2002, but we've been able to award money in substantial amounts only since 2007. And happily, this is one of those neighborhoods where we've started to see the fruits of this state's investments. And truthfully, it's our investment, but it's also thanks to companies like TD Bank and PSC&G and Valley National Bank and New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance, and I think about 30 other companies that decided, yes, this is a great program that we want to participate in. Yes, there is a tax credit involved, but philanthropically, for the benefit of the community, this is something that they chose to do, and I'm happy to be the party that helps to see it through to fruition. And I cannot wait until the day when 6 new houses are up and you've got 6 new homeowners, and then beyond that, I know there's a phase 2 coming because we funded it, and and more to happen, and that it's in a concentrated area on this street, on surrounding streets. I'm I'm a city planner, and I understand the philosophy and the practice of concentrating your effort in a few places and having the effects of that improvement grow out over time, not over decades, but over a few years more than that. So I think you are poised for great things to happen in this neighborhood, and I'm really honored that you've asked me to be here. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. And I know that I will have a new boss as of Tuesday, and a great boss. And I frankly cannot wait. I haven't met her. I haven't met her, but I look forward to the day when I get a chance to. So. So thank you, congratulations, and I look forward to a groundbreaking or a ribbon cutting in a few months.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brad. Definitely. You know, one of the advantages for having a groundbreaking in the winter, because I was really trying to rack my brain, like what could possibly be the advantage for having a groundbreaking in the winter, is that the homes will be ready in the spring, which is a great time for home purchasing. So, you know, got to make lemonade sometime, right? So, great. Thank you, Brad. And so in our project, we do have support from HUD in terms of home funds. As I mentioned, we became a community housing development organization, which allows us to demonstrate that we have community participation in the structure of the organization and the decisions that make around the housing work that we're doing. And so we set up the CHODO. We have members of the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association, serves on the board of the economic development entity. So we're really excited to have Maria Mayo here for us. I'd like to ask her to come up. We also get funding for our housing counseling work that we do through HUD. So it really works together that we're counseling people to become homeowners. They're also providing support and funding so that we can make those homes a reality. So Maria, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. So it's great to be with you, Mayor, again. This is always a good thing. Councilman, Senator, good. We need to catch up. So this is great. And let me give a shout out. I know Carmelo indicated Anne-Marie Eubing from CPD. Joe Linhart is actually the rep for Newark, so I want to shout out to him. And then Olga Alvarez is here as well from HUD. So when I started with HUD about 3.5 years ago, one of the first people that said they wanted to come and just say hello was Vivian. Well, Vivian doesn't just come and say hello. Vivian's got, okay, give me some money. So I always appreciated that. I do also have a little reputation of being tenacious, so when I see women like Vivian and the good senator, obviously I've already got a connection, and always appreciate those efforts. You know, home ownership is so very important, and you know, it's one thing, with all due respect, getting the funding for the development. To do home ownership is such a unique challenge, because it's not just building the homes, it's making them affordable for folks that otherwise couldn't be in this marketplace. So you have a double challenge there, and I'm glad you mentioned that you also have the housing counseling program and how important that is. I also was thinking of when Vivian and the good senator was speaking about their own family circumstances. I also came from an immigrant family, and we were only able to afford a home because my dad was in the Army and we got a VA loan, and that's how we were able to purchase a home in Jersey City. So and that was very important. That has been very important to a lot of folks, that was the goal. And I know we talk about the American dream and the American goal, but for so many people, and not everybody wants to be a homeowner, and that's not of interest to everybody. But for those folks that want it, to be able to provide that opportunity is so great. And let me just say another thing about this whole notion of doing things with the residents of a community. That is very, very difficult, to be able to get people in a room. Sometimes you're not always going to agree, but at the end of the day, just like family, you know, you argue in private, but you come out and you figure out what you need, and you come together and you get what's needed. And that I think is a unique aspect of having a community-based organization. And I would say, you know, Newark is blessed with a number of great organizations and the vibrancy of Newark. And I've seen it. I say most of my waking hours now are in Newark. And I've seen, even in the last 3.5 years, the great change. But I do want to commend the mayor, understanding that it's got to be a balance between new people coming in and seeing what the existing residents have seen all along, but also making sure that the residents who want to stay in Newark have opportunity to stay here. And I really want to commend the mayor. I know you're doing a lot of work when it comes to affordable housing, and that's not easy, but you ought to be commended, as well as your staff. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to say about community organizations, and maybe I'm channeling Star Wars, they usually go where no one else wants to go. So thank you, Vivian.
Yes. And Fairmount is now the place everybody wants to be. That's a good thing. So as I said before, we couldn't have started this work without a great partner like LISC. And certainly I've been knocking on LISC's door a while before they opened. And it really took a new executive director to make that happen. I say it all the time. Sometimes they don't like it when I say it, but it's true. And as you said, Rhonda Lewis, when she came in, she got it immediately about what we were trying to do and why the Urban League needed to do it. I didn't have to justify why I thought the league should be building houses. She said, "Oh yeah, you should do that," and and she gave me a long list of some other things to do too. And also how to do it. And you can't do it to have someone in her role that has the experience on the ground in a community-based organization, building homes. That type of partner is rare. And also, when she gives you advice, it's real, and you can go with it. And so I really want to recognize Rhonda as a leader, as a partner in LISC, separate and apart from the organization itself. And also, she also funds us in our Financial Opportunity Center, because we know how important that families have a financial basis on which to build. They can't buy the homes if they're unstable financially. And so having that holistic approach and that holistic partner is really important. So I'd like to ask Rhonda, invite her to come up to give a few remarks on behalf of LISC.
Well, thank you, Vivian. The Urban League is a phenomenal organization. And, I think it's only fitting that they're taking the leadership role in the Fairmount community. As like the mayor said, housing development or development isn't just going on downtown, but it's going on all over the city. And Vivian is making sure it's not missing the West Ward. Vivian mentioned that about having a groundbreaking in the winter. I think this is warmer than your first one, though, right? But those are people who were there then. Well, one thing I think is important is that, it's January, it's 2018, and it's kicking off a new time for people to be homeowners. And Vivian, if you listen to her closely, just doesn't talk about making homes, but creating wealth. She really is about helping people create sustainable wealth that they can pass on to their family members. And as we all know, one of the biggest assets you can have is your home. I don't know what will happen with the new tax law. I'm still waiting to find out. But right now, it's important for us to help people and people of color create wealth. And that's what Vivian's all about. And as Vivian said, we support her with her financial opportunity centers. And at LISC, we believe, hand in hand, you cannot sustain yourself in a job without a place to live. And you can't pay your rent or your mortgage without a job. And Vivian and her team is phenomenal, and our housing team. But, we work with her in so many different aspects. And I'm really pleased that, she chose us to be her partner and that we can work together. So I thank you for being a partner today, and your whole team, and the mayor and the councilman and the senator. It's been great. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we do have remarks. We have TD Bank on the agenda to come forward. I'd just like to say a few words about that relationship. I did mention that they gave us a real estate line of credit, They also have the Urban League's line of credit. When we had, they've been a real partner. So in this work, you know, stuff happens, right? So it happens. Yeah, so stuff happens. Some money you thought you were gonna get, you didn't get, or whatever. And having a banker that understands that, who also, you know, is not a 1-800 number, you know, that you can call and say, I'm struggling with this cash flow issue. What advice do you have for me? Right. So a lot of times we get in problems with financial or whatever. You don't have anyone to talk to. And I want to say that I really appreciate the relationship with TD Bank because you can kind of explain it. You know, as a nonprofit, most of the work we do is on a reimbursement basis. What that means, we put the money out, we do the work, and then we have to wait to get paid. So just think about that. Almost all the work the league does is like that. So sometimes there are cash issues, there are challenges, and you can't be afraid to, you know, make it seem like, oh, that's a sign of weakness. No, that's reality. And having a great partner at the table with us to help us through those challenges, it's been great. So I'd like to recognize TD Bank to come up. They've given us grants, they're in the NRTC, and they also fund our lines of credit. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Paige Carlson-Heim. I'm the Regional Community Development Manager for TD Bank, and I bring you greetings from our Regional Vice President, Martin Malili, and the lender on this project, Scott Beresford, both of whom really wanted to be here today, but we had multiple events actually happening today. I don't know what's special about January 11th, but there's a lot going on, and I got to be the lucky one to come to Newark today. So I'm really excited, and I want to offer congratulations, Mayor Baraka, Senator Ruiz, Director Carmelo Garcia, Councilman McCallum, DCA, HUD, Maria, and of course the Urban League. Congratulations. This is so exciting. I'm joined today, you know, Vivian talked about the fact that stuff happens. And TD is here to talk to. Well, you know, we are America's most convenient bank. You know, not for nothing, but. So convenience is a theme with us, you know, and commitment to community is also a theme with us. And to that end, I'm joined here today by a couple of colleagues from our stores here in Newark. Eddie D'Souza from our Ironbound store is here with me. Is Regina here? Regina, where are you? Oh, she's outside. Oh, can we let her in? Regina's the manager from our Springfield Avenue store. And they're here because they're part of the Newark community, and they're committed to these efforts. And I just want to talk, we're so excited about this project, and for so many reasons, for what it's going to bring to this community, and for the fact that the product that the Urban League used in this project is an acquisition rehab line of credit product that TD has that really we created and put out in the marketplace just for projects like this. And we're so humbled to be part of this project, and we're so excited that the Urban League sort of took a look at it and said, yeah, that's what we need. That we want to use that. We want to use this product to acquire properties, fix them up, and put them back to use in the community, because we want to make a difference here in this community, and that's what TD Bank wants to. So thank you for letting us be a part of it. And what else is on your list? How can we help? Congratulations.
Absolutely. Oh, I got a long list. Okay, Paige. Well, we're getting close to the bottom, but not the best is yet to come. You know, I said I was fighting with the councilman, but I was fighting with somebody else too. I don't know, Mr. Thigpen. Oh, you're here. Huh? But not. Yeah. No, but I want to say that you know, things turn around. You know, and we have a great partnership with PSE&G. They've been committed to the neighborhood. As I said, they're investing in the neighborhood revitalization tax credit program, and also Rick and certainly Calvin. We've been able to, you know, form a path out of a place that was contentious. You know, but at some point you guys say, okay, the fight is over. I said, people, you still talk to me? Yeah, I talk to everybody. I do, yes, because the fight is over, right? So once the fight is over, you got to talk, right, exactly. I got to stop talking about it, don't I? I do. We're talking about building. I know, what is wrong with me? I don't know, anyway. Okay. Well, we're building now, and if you take a ride over by West Market and Central, you'll see a really magnificent edifice, I think, or something. But I'll tell you one thing you won't think you're looking at. You won't think you're looking at a switching station, right? Can we agree on that? But that is what is behind it. But it's through partnerships and really being able to see each other's position, that progress gets made. And none of that would have happened at PSE&G without Rick Thigpen. And he has an understanding of this community, and he took a lot of heat at the time it was going on. So I want to take the opportunity to just recognize him today, his work, his integrity, and what he's done at PSE&G in terms of working with him and Calvin to turn around that relationship. So on behalf of the Urban League, I'd like to welcome up Rick Thigpen to give remarks for all the investments they're making here in Fairmount.
Who'da thunk it? So all I will do is promise to be short. And I'll say one thing, public-private partnerships are outstanding, and this is an example of it. And who's a better private sector partner than a company called Public Service? We're really proud of all the work we've done together. You know, Vivian, I heard several people remember, you know, I mentioned that little switching station down the street. You know, and somebody once said, you know, the hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. And I hope that that's exactly what's happening here. There's so many lessons I could talk about. You know, I made a joke to Mayor Baraka. We gave him his PhD in PSE&G during that switching station. And Senator Ruiz called me one day, who knows me for 20 years, and said, "What are you doing to my constituents in the West Ward?" I was like, "Nothing." And so, but that was the beginning of a dialogue about how we can make things better. And I promised Vivian, I promised Mr. Johnson, you're going to hear from, and she didn't believe me at first, that the West Ward will be better off with Public Service being here than it was before. And it's fair, we had to prove it, and I hope we're still proving it, and I believe it's coming true. And I believe that that switching station will be something that this young lady's going to point to in some years down the road as one of her big accomplishments. And I will speak very candidly. Agree with that, Vivian. I saw that. I saw that. See, she don't know I got eyes in the back of my head too, okay? I saw that. You know, and I'm glad to know that TD Bank is there, so when she claims she didn't have money to pay her electric bill in the future, we'll be having, Darren, I see you, we'll be having a conversation about that too. Thank God for TD Bank. And if you have cash flow problems, it's better to have them with the lights on than with the lights off, right, Vivian? We'll talk about that later. Anyway, having said that, I did make a promise to her that we're going to leave the West Ward better. I think I'm doing my best to live up to that promise, and I think that Public Service is a better partner for the West Ward because of the work of Vivian Frazier. And I think Public Service has learned some very valuable lessons from that experience, and I think we're going to be a better corporation going forward as a result of this encounter. So it's really a privilege to be here today, actually, because this was not something that came automatically. I've told her at the beginning the Urban League was in my head since my father took me to Urban League conferences in Washington as a little kid, and I would not betray her confidence. Hopefully when I leave and I can keep my eyes in the back of my head, she'll agree with that with you all. Please let me know if she doesn't agree with that later. And it's really a privilege for public service to be here and for you all to recognize that public service can be a valuable community partner, not just that big company who nobody knows anybody. So thank you all for taking the trouble to listen. It's really a privilege to be here. I really have to commend Vivian. I want you to know, I got a call from San Francisco, California about that switching station because of her. They were calling from all over the country. She was doing her job and she had everybody after me. And I believe that today we can be proud of what we did, and those people in California like, Vivian, how did you do that? We got to get the same partnership you developed. So I'm really proud of this, and I hope that we can continue in the future, and I hope the West Ward will be a better place because public service is here. Thank you all very much, and you all should thank Vivian.
All right. So, you know, one of the most important people that was by my side, people think like I was fighting by myself. No, I wasn't. Because when we were in the meetings at midnight, Mr. Johnson was by my side. Whoa, what an experience we've had. But certainly the experience of rebuilding a community is one, that's the best experience, right? And the best experience of knowing that you fought a good fight, that you're doing great work, and that you're doing it on behalf, but also with the leadership of the residents, right? And that's what Mr. Johnson represents as the president of the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association. But he got his little posse too. I see Miss Vicky back there. You know, she on the posse. Miss Dabney. She serves on the Chodo board. She's in the posse. So he doesn't do it alone. He knows that. And we know that, and we gave each other strength during some tough times. But we also had some fun, you know, dancing on the party, too. So I'd like to ask Mr. Johnson to come up and give remarks on behalf of the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association. Please join me with a big round of applause for Mr. Johnson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I find it interesting that I'm coming up right after Mr. Rick Thigpen. That's very ironic. Because we've had some battles together at the beginning, but I want to say to you, thank you, because you listen to the community. And that switching station and what's going around that switching station is because of the efforts of you and our councilman, Mr. McCollum. So to PSNG, I want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank Ms. Vivian Frazier because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her. 'Cause I kind of pull on her coattail. Everything she does, because she has a vision about this community. And today is a blessing for me. I grew up in this neighborhood. I've been up here 57 years. And I've seen the changes as a young man with my parents who are no longer here anymore. But you can walk the streets and feel comfortable. And you can be proud in your neighborhood when you see housings and development and so forth. And then when it started to decay, you shook your head and said, what happened? What happened? I don't want my neighborhood like this. So when I see development and housing in my neighborhood like this, and trees, and sidewalks being done, and flowers, you're bringing life back in this community. And I really, really appreciate that. So with the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association, when we're helping other people in the community, along with the Urban League and LISC, I want to thank them so much. Ms. Lewis, thank you for being a partner with us, because you're an inspiration to me also. And you also teach me how to be a leader. And I want to thank you for that. And the Urban League itself, I tell you, I learned a lot. I learned how to be a leader. I have fun with it. And even with my neighbors, you know, things have changed where some people don't even know your neighbors. You go to work, you come home, and that's it. As I got involved with the Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association, I talked to my neighbors. I help clean up front of the house if they're not going to do it. I do it myself. Or I get a group of us, we'll go up and clean up, and they look at us and say, what are you doing? And then they appreciate it. They want to be involved in seeing what we're doing. I say, even though you may not own your house, you should clean up in front of it. Don't let your kids step over garbage and whatnot where it should be clean. And now they clean up in front of my house if something blows down. See, that's a blessing. And even the drug dealers that were on my block, they're learning a little bit because they see what's going on. So we talk to police at our meetings right there at our table. And I say, look, something's going on next door to my house. You need to do something about it. And they'll clean up something. And neighbors are saying, what is this? What's happening? And the drug dealers are learning a little bit. Got little kids and everything. I went and talked to them. Normally, I wouldn't do that. I said, you got a little baby. What you going to do if you get caught? What's going to happen? This is my neighborhood. This is my city, and I love it. So something like this, developing housing, when people see that, one, it cuts on crime because you have home ownership, that people are here, and they're not going to be throwing stuff all over in the lot or anything. There's life in the neighborhood again. So I really appreciate this, and Mr. Robbins, you know, anytime you call me, I'm like right there. I appreciate everything that you do. You know, you're a blessing, and all of you. So I just want to thank you for helping Fairmount out. 2018 is very promising here. We're growing. We're growing. That's what the station going to have some beautiful art around it. It was going to just be a wall at first. But the community came together and said, wait a minute now. You're going to put it here, right? You got to help us out a little bit here. You got to help us out. Now it's going to be beautiful art around it. When people can look at something and say, wow, that's really nice. And that's the efforts of these gentlemen here, and of course this wonderful lady right here. So I just want to thank all of you, and God continue to bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so to close us out today, thank you for your patience through the whole ceremony and interruptions and everything. And see, Rick, we still love you. Everybody loves you. But Lenny Robbins, this work would not be possible. Well, you know, we're a small organization, and we got a small real estate team, and I'm asking Mr. Robbins to come up, like, to recognize him for his work on the project here, getting us to this point. And also, he's going to give you a little idea about the partners that were involved in the project and, you know, really overview of the project itself. Thank you. Mr. Robbins?
Lenny, I might have to go while you speak.
Okay, no problem. Well, it started in the morning, and it's now the afternoon, right? So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So, as Vivian said, I want to talk to you about, so we're having a groundbreaking, right? Everyone looks at that, it's sort of the beginning. Is it really? So no, this project started long before this groundbreaking. So this groundbreaking represents a sort of a beginning, because we're breaking ground to say that now we're going to start building these homes. But before we actually made it to this point, right? There was so much work that went into getting this project started. So I just want to begin to recognize some of the folks that worked with me on the development team. There are some that was with me from the very beginning to make this project work. So, and that includes, of course, the architecture firm of John Ingles, or Ingles Architecture and Engineering. They are the firm that we work with, and what the charge to them was design us several different models that we can use and sell in this neighborhood, 2 and 3 family homes that will fit on a 25 by 100 foot lot, because that's the normal size lot in this particular neighborhood. But it has to fit within the context of the neighborhood itself. So they did a good job of doing that for us. But we also had homes that were to be rehabbed. And with that, WSM Associates, Chris Sanders as the architect who worked with us on doing the work to design and convert some of those properties. So one is a single family home, pretty large home on the corner here that's being converted from a 1 family to a 2 family. And then there is also the home at 479 South 14th Street, that's a 3 family, and that is being renovated as well. So those 3 rehabs, we had some additional help with another architect. So we had Pronesti surveying to go out and survey all of these lots for us in order for us to get before the planning board. In order for us to get before the planning board, we also had to work with a planner and a legal counsel. Calvin Souders here was a legal counsel to help us get through the planning board, along with John McDonough Associates. They were the planners that also helped us make that presentation to the planning board to get us here. So the firm that's going to be doing the actual construction work, and Dr. Nate Allen is here representing John Santos Contractors. They're going to be building the homes for us. There is also, we're working with Riverio Energy Consultants, and Matthew Kaplan, Benjamin Cohen, Kara Filio is all part of that team. So Riverio is represented as well. Riverio is working with us to make sure that these homes meet the green community standards and Energy Star requirements to make sure that these homes are energy efficient. So we really welcome their assistance with this help, with this work. So long before we got started with this, we had to figure out just what would these homes sell for. So we had the assistance of our appraisal company to figure out what will these homes sell for after they're built. So they was also part of our team. All Jersey Title Company has been involved in a lot of the acquisitions in terms of the closings involved with this project. And Clarence Balknight is our attorney for the closings. They've also been involved with this as much as well as. And Larry Barnes is here representing our insurance carrier, who, without making sure that all of these homes are covered. But we have other partners as well for this project. And this, I'm just giving you the folks who are involved in making sure that this project goes forward. On this street, what we're working on in this street is not only are we building 6 new homes, but we're also working with the existing homeowners to do facade improvements, to do sidewalk replacements, to do curbside gardens, and to do street lights. I shouldn't say street lights, but yard lights, which will help to illuminate this particular block, make it more safe to travel at night. And so some of the partners that we're working with in terms of doing some of the streetscape work is New Jersey Tree Foundation, where they are going to be able to put new trees on this particular block. The Greater Newark Conservancy, which we work with to do some of the gardens and the plantings. And we've had a tremendous amount of help from the New Jersey Society of Landscape Architects, who actually did that board there, which says Fairmount Avenue, to show the planning board what our intentions were in terms of the working on this entire block. So, and as has been mentioned before, this work on the streetscape improvements is really, actually I should say, brought to you by the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program. So it's fully funded with the grants that we're getting from the state. So the project, the Heights on Fairmount Avenue, 6 new homes, 2 and 3 family. There will be built 2 on this particular lot, 2 on the lot that is further closer to South Orange Avenue, and then another 2 across the street, or in single lots. But it also includes those 3 homes that I have a board representing of the work that we're going to do there. So there's actually 9 homes that will be done based on this project. And the last thing I'll say, and then we can let you go, is that we are also getting funding from the state, from the national housing trust fund. Thank you, Brad. From the National Housing Trust Fund. So the monies that we're getting from the National Housing Trust Fund is actually going to allow us to take that 3-family property, as opposed to being a rental, as a home ownership project. It's going to be a rental project, but it's going to be focused and geared toward individuals who have been formerly incarcerated. So we're going to be able to help with our social services that we provide for residents in the community to actually help those individuals who need to get themselves back on their feet. So this project encompasses a lot of different moving parts. As I said, there was a lot of work to go into this before this particular groundbreaking. This is the beginning of our construction period. And I hope that you all will come back again when we have our ribbon cutting to say that we actually have the homes up and ready for folks to move into. So I thank you for joining us. I really appreciate all of the help that we've received from our development team. I appreciate the time you guys have given us today to come and celebrate with us this beginning. Thank you and good afternoon.